day I was showing houses for freaking, I mean, I don't have a big illustrious story, except I was a grinder, I at Remax, I was there 16 years at Remax. My last year at Remax, I walked in on New Year's Eve, told my wife I was supposed to take her to dinner, but I closed 2 deals on New Year's Eve, and I sold 81 houses that year without a buyer's agent. So that was the year at Remax. So my wife, I walked in on New Year's Eve and she looked at me and she goes, "Really?" And I said, "What are you talking about? I mean, I crushed it today." And she was like, "Is this the life? I mean, like, is it all that?" And and to be honest with you, that's before I even knew what EXP was. And I said, well, I had a good year, we did pretty good. And then, 3 months later, I see EXP, and we saw it as a way, when I went and saw EXP in San Diego, that was the day I met Jeff Willems. I met Gene Frederick for the first time, Rob Flick, Brent Gove. Mm-hmm. And I was like, there's just got to be, a little bit more to life than just, that's a lot of transactions for one person to do.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't really have a life outside of real estate. And so one of the things I decided, Becky, is I was like, how can you be a hybrid and sell and build a brokerage at the same time? That was like, I was never like one to say, "Oh, I don't want to sell real estate," because I love people. Like when you spend 25 years running people around, it's really kind of part of who your DNA is. And so, we just started bringing on agents and selling houses, bringing on agents, selling houses. And, one of my commitments to myself, because I'm really not about like, I know this might sound whatever to some people, but I'm just keeping it real. I'm not in competition with anybody except me and my family. That's it. I'm not in competition with anybody on this Zoom. I'm going to run my race. That's it. And it's got to be about what's best for me and my family and what we're doing together. And so my motivation was, how can I sustain a viable income that we were accustomed to, but be able to build a brokerage and transact at the same time. So one of my things that when I'm quiet, my wife gets real worried about me because I don't get quiet much. And I was on the airplane, and we were coming back, and I was about to join EXP. And she's like, "You're being really quiet." And she said, why are you being so quiet? And I said, "I know what I got to do. I got to produce." Like, I can't just say I'm going to recruit agents, because then they're going to be like, "Jay just recruits agents." I said, so I came back and went from 21 million to 31 million in production. And while I was selling and while I was bringing on agents. So to fast forward, we've been very blessed by EXP. And now we got 2,000 agents, a little over 2,000 agents all over the world.
Wow.
And we train them and help them, and we stay on the phones all day long. That's why I apologize, I was a little late. I was on another call, but I appreciate y'all having us. And the one thing I can say to anybody watching this is, don't you dare put me on any kind of pedestal. I'm a C student. I made a 17 on my ACT the first crack at it. So I've proven that I'm not the smartest guy in the family. But I work hard, and I really do love people, and everything that we've done, every single one of y'all can do that. And that's what we're passionate about. So anything we can do to help you guys, let us know. We're out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Awesome. I love that. So Jay, here's a question. And we have, a lot of people live streaming on this, not just on the live.
Sure.
Yeah, we have a number of people watching through EXP Family Tree. By the way, it is live streamed there, and we record this and we put it out on YouTube, Jay, and we'll get you guys a copy. So thank you so much.
100%.
I love Family Tree. I coach our agents we do onboarding every week, and I make our agents check Family Tree once a day. I say that's a prerequisite.
That's awesome, because it is there to be a resource, right, for everyone. So one of the things, and guys, while you're listening, if you're on the Zoom or you're in live streaming, think about a question that you'd like to ask Jay. It does make this call a lot more dynamic if it's more interactive, right?
Sure.
What I know that I'll just tell you what my question always is that I have is, how did you start? Right? So when you came into EXP, you started selling a lot of real estate, as every person on here is selling real estate.
Yep.
Pretty much everyone here is selling real estate. How did you get into action? What was kind of the mindset or the first step you took to get into action on attracting folks into what you were offering or what EXP was offering?
Well, first of all, I'm a maniac when it comes to, like, people say time block. I'm a gap filler. Like, I'm on calls. I'm not a time blocker. I'm just a maniac going full tilt from sun up to 11 o'clock when my wife says stop, you know? So to me, it was always about filling gaps. And I've done coaching calls and things with people, and they're like, how did you get this thing going? And it's called, I filled every gap with a coffee, you know, and, you know, whenever I was on one side of Nashville showing houses, I would look very clearly at the gaps cause I was showing houses. Like, I didn't even have a buyer's agent, you know, it was just me. Now my son's doing a lot because we got so much going on, but I would like go show houses from 10 to 12 or show 3 houses. And then at 8 in the morning, when I get up, I look at my gaps. I'm a gap filler. So I figured something out about production agents like myself. Don't try to, it's very hard for you to schedule me outside of the actual day that's going on, because we're just so busy and crap's coming up and you're putting out fires and you got deals you're talking, you know. So I would look at my day that morning and I would start inviting people to coffee or in those gaps. I'd say, oh yeah, you know, I know, you know, Mark's over here on this side of town. I'm showing houses in Mount Juliet, and I've got, you know, 12 o'clock, I'm done. And then I got another appointment in Brentwood at this time. So I'm going to try to take Mark I'm going to say, Mark, and guys, I never schedule anybody past 20 minutes, because here's the deal. I got 20 minutes. Can you meet me at Starbucks? Let's talk about your business. Let's talk about real estate. We've known each other a long time. Let's try to grab a quick $4 cup of coffee. And I really rarely would sit down with anybody and pitch EXP, because most of the time when I would do the coffee, they would be like, what are you doing? And then they would ask me about EXP. And that's how it got going. But I would just fill up every gap in my schedule to have coffee with agents. Like, that's really, we didn't do it any way but the old school way. And that's just face to face.
You know,
I just am curious, Becky, do you mind if I ask, what is your front line? What does the front line look like? Because that's always the question people ask, is like, how many people do I personally have to bring over? How can this compounding really happen in my organization? We hear this every week. We have guests come in.
Yep.
Yes, they've been here since 2017 or 18. It's been a while. You've been here a while. We have to realize time is on our side in this compounding nature. And sometimes that's hard to understand for people. So what does that look like? Just a breakdown for you.
Well, the front line right now is at 51 agents on the front line. I do think that like 5 of those are domestic. So really it's, you know, 46, and we're at 27 FLQA out of the 46. We were at 39 at one time, and we hit 40 for 2 months. And you know, here's the thing with the frontline part of it. You know, obviously, I'm not saying that, you know, a lot of realtors, their production's a little bit down. People are trying to figure out where they're going, what's going to make them, you know, get back to where they were 2 years ago when things were slinging. Yeah, that's where we are, Cari. That's where we are. We're at 27 and 46. So,
yeah. The thing about it is, though, is that we hear from a lot of owners like you who have a large rev share group that it is between that 20 and 50, right? With FLQAs. What do you think is the key to, I'm just curious of your thoughts on this. This is just coming out of, you know, my brain. What do you think is the key to getting above that and staying there?
You know, you always got to be prospecting. You always got to be having conversations. I'm not a, how do I say this? I'm a terrible closer. I'm a terrible salesperson. I'm on the 1,000% of energy scale. So it's all reckless abandonment, just go hard. And the people that love me. The people that can't stand me, they'll never like me. So I literally just, how do you keep them motivated? I mean, first of all, I'm very blunt. Like when I sit down with an agent that's never sold a house and they say, man, I want to be, I want what you got. I know this is going to sound crazy, but if you could have I literally sat down in front of a kid about 3 months ago. And I said, listen, enjoy the $19 fajita. I said, because here's the deal. When we're done with this $19 fajita, I'm either going to find out how tough you are and you're going to want to be an agent, or I am going to run you off. Because if you don't come into this business with nasty work ethic, if you're trying to do this to work less, just eat the fajita and let me get out of here. Because I think people think what we do is easy, and it's absolutely not easy. And so setting expectations for people, and I'm not going to sit there and hold people accountable. I don't need anybody to hold me accountable. What should hold people? People say, who's your accountability coach? The fridge. I got to make sure there's food in there for my kids. I got to make sure I can pay the tuition for my daughter to go to college. My accountability coach is making sure I'm providing. So I don't really hold people accountable, but I'm saying you got to have that mindset, because this is an industry where if you outwork, I tell people all the time, if you outwork me, you can take my sphere. Because if you're working harder, pouring into my people than me, and you're throwing better client appreciation parties than me, but I don't know about that. We throw some good ones. All right. But my point is everybody's a jump ball. Who wants to go in? And I brought a lot of agents, guys. I got multiple agents that when I met them, they had never sold a house. And now they're selling, I think Fonda's at 90 houses the last year. And I asked her the same thing I told Kizak. I said, hey, what's your work ethic on a scale from 1 to 10? Because if it's below 8, eat the fajita. It's good talking to you. Maybe we'll run into each other, but this ain't the business for you. But she sells 90 houses a year now. Right. And she doesn't even buy leads. So she's working. So that's really, I just want to, I'm not here to recruit everybody. I don't think everybody needs to be here. I think the right ones will show up. And, but it's a hard business, guys. And y'all know that.
Yeah. So how are you, if you don't mind, Jay, and I hope I'm not asking too much. And if
you can ask me anything.
Okay, good. Thank you. So I'm curious. We've heard from different big rev share builders, how they set things up. So I'm just curious with you, do you have a team where you're on commission splits and then you offer them a different opportunity with rev share group? Can you give us some insight in that?
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of strategies, right?
Right.
But I've always said to people that there's not one strategy that's the right strategy. I stopped a long time ago, guys, trying to set other people's goals for them. So when it comes to, guys, I meet a lot of agents that say, Jay, I just want to sell 15 houses a year. I'm a teacher. I've got young kids. I want to sell 15 houses a year and supplement what I'm doing. You got to find out what people want. Guys, I don't want to sell 300 houses a year. I sold 219 in 2006. I had 6 buyer's agents. I don't want to do that again. Okay. So, it's more about finding out and asking people the right questions about what is it they really want. Now, as far as team structure, we didn't build a team. So when I say when you see online or Google us or whatever, and you see Jay Nelson team, that is my assistant, which I challenge anybody to find one assistant, find me one real estate person. 20 years she's been my assistant.
Wow.
20 years. Now, she knows what she's going to get, right? That what you see is what you get, but I also don't micromanage her. And so we don't have a team. It's just Kim, 20 years being my assistant. And it was me and her. She would do the paperwork. I'd sell the houses. Then when my son came in, it was me and my son, and now I'm running everything through him, just because I'm developing real estate in Puerto Rico now, and I'm a developer also. So I do development. I love land.
Awesome.
And but as far as the way I brought in everybody the same, I didn't do half caps or quarter caps. Every one of our agents, we don't have big mega icon teams. We have just the hardworking, everyday, badass, going hard on Saturday and Sunday people, little small town America agents that have built this. And that's what we coach to, because then it's at least duplicatable. Then you can get somebody on a Zoom, and that agent's in some little town in Idaho, and they're listening to how we're doing it. And they're like, well, I can do that,
Absolutely.
But we don't have mega icon teams. I don't have anybody. I only think we have literally 3 or 4 mega icon teams out of 200, 2,000. So everybody's on $16,000 caps.
Got it. Okay, great. So I'd love, if you guys have a question, please put it in the chat box. So Jay, I'm going to ask you a question. Yeah. What is it that you would have expected me to ask you that I haven't asked you yet, that you would like to tell us?
Whew, that's a great question. I like that. I've never had anybody ask me that question before. That's an awesome one. You got to figure out, you got to figure out what you want your life to look like. And I think I already said that, because I think we all have stages of our life, right? Like, there are stages, and everybody has different parts of their life, and that will change. I don't care who you are and what you do and how big you are or how small you are or whatever, doesn't matter. There's going to be seasons in your life where you're going to want different things from a family, from personally, to how you're, raising your children, or whatever that is. Like, that's why real estate is it's such a slippery slope, because it can't always be about who sells the most houses. It's got to be about who's having the best life. So don't try to, that's why I'm telling you guys, I don't care who the #1 EXP agent is in the world. I could care less. Okay. All I'm going to focus on is what my life's going to look like for my family, and what I can do to preserve that. And, maybe I got to go back in at some point and go back into you never know, but just figure it out, and I think the best way to do that is surround yourself with other people that have kind of walked through the fire before you, and just be a sponge and listen. I didn't teach my guys. I want to say this. Okay. My first 4 years as a realtor, I sucked. Okay. I was terrible. Now, why was I terrible though? Why did I suck? Very simple. I had a different vision in my head. I was trying to be the next Tim McGraw in Nashville and singing all over the place and had records and all this stuff. And that was my jam. I was going there. Right. So why would I care about whether I was a good realtor or not? It was just another way to make a little bit of money. I'm what would be whatever. That was a stage of my life, but I also didn't have good mentorship to guide me in the right path. And I got in a situation like a lot of us do. Sometimes situations will dictate what you have to do, right? I got in a personal situation where I couldn't play around in being a country music star anymore. I had to make money because I had some unexpected things coming at me that weren't planned. And now he sells real estate with me. So just to make it clear, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on having Dean, but I'm glad I had him because he's kicking ass right now. So, but my point is life said, Jay, it's time to go do something a little bit different. And then that's when I met a good mentor, and I was very blunt with him. And I said, I got to make money. And I just said, give me your playbook. That was really, I think that I know I'm bouncing around. I hope I'm answering a question. I never know if I am. But like, all I need was the playbook from him, and I'll never forget it, because I was waiting tables and writing songs and singing country music. And I walked in, and you know what the first question I asked Brandon Patrick was at Remax?
What?
I walked in his office. I was dead serious. I looked at him and I said, you know what? Before the meeting starts, I need to know how much money you made last year. Said it to a guy that's been in the business 10 years. And if he didn't like it, I was going to get up and walk out, because there was plenty of people that would have liked. He looked at me and he goes, I've never had an agent ask me that. And he was big time guy at Remax. He said, I made $250,000 last year. I looked at him and I said, listen, I need the playbook. I need you to just give me the playbook, because I'll outwork everybody else. You just need to lay it out. I need to know what I need to do better than you. And then he took me to lunch. And then 3 years later, I sold 219 houses with his model. That was 3 years after that meeting. And I was, but then again, that was an exhausting year. The market crashed. That 2006, we sold 219 transactions. 2008, I was building 100. Check this out. I was going so fast. Like I was like on that trajectory of like blowing it up. I went from a waiter to 200 plus houses in a year. And then I said, well, I can build subdivisions. So I bought a bunch of land. I was buying commercial properties. I was bringing in partners, and I was building 122 townhomes in North Nashville. I developed them, built the roads, designed them, designed the properties. I'm doing all this, and the market tanked. Our actual bank went into receivership. I don't know if you know what happens when a bank goes into receivership, but what happens is they don't give you any more money. That's when literally, it wasn't anything we did, but the bank said, we can't give you any more money for those roads. And it was a nightmare. So I literally, went through some tough times, guys. I'm not gonna lie, it ain't all gravy. I mean, I was rich and poor within a matter of 3 years. It was bad. I was moving into a rental house. I owned 17 houses at that time and all these properties all over Nashville. And I had to move out and, went through a divorce and just went through some crazy, stupid stuff. And, but I always maintained one thing. And I told my daughter this. I said, listen, you don't define yourself when you're on top. Your definition of who you are is not when you're on top of the world. It's when you're in the bottom of the valley. It's the people that can overcome the hardship. And so, thank God for EXP. EXP has really helped us. So thank you to Glenn and Jason. You guys changed our lives.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that life change. It's life changing. It truly is. Now, Jay, I'm curious, what is the playbook that you give to the people that join with you that say, hey, Jay, I really want more financial freedom. I want to learn how to build this out, maybe in rev share, the way that you've been able to do it. So what's the playbook that you give them?
My playbook.
Maybe your top 3 things.
I just believe in a balanced attack. I am never going to be I was a football guy, so I played football. And even if you had Tom Brady as your quarterback, you cannot throw the ball on every down, because then you're predictable, right? So I refuse to stop. I guess where we are in rev share, we could have said, well, we're never going to sell houses again, but I never wanted to do that. And I'm not going to mention names, but I've had knockdown, drag out arguments with some big people about that. I'm always going to be a developer. I'm never going to just rely. Look, if rev share went away, I'm fine, because I've got all kinds of other businesses and developments and I love real estate, and me and my son are in production. So I'm not relying on one thing, not saying, our company is so solid, guys. I'm not worried about any of that, but I do believe that agents should build a balanced attack is part of the playbook. Don't just recruit. I say that all the time. Don't just recruit. Produce, develop, portfolio, multifamily, Airbnb, build something that have a diversification within real estate. I'm not saying you got to do stock trading. I'm saying from a real estate perspective, there's 1,000 different ways to build a successful real estate, whatever that is. So I just say do a little bit of everything and try to be really good at all those things.
Well,
Yeah.
and I love this because EXP, provides the opportunity for those of us that are in production to have quite a bit of opportunity in the way of stock. And
Right.
even just in the
Yes.
agent equity program, my husband and I were really quite surprised pleasantly in just 15 months how much we've been able to make on our own money.
Yeah.
Taking that money that we would not make anywhere else and putting that in investments or going and trying new things, to your point, I think is very smart, because I also think the people that don't become stagnant, but that are out there developing and trying this and learning and sharing or investing and helping their members do it, when you're doing it, you can help other people do it. And that brings extra value. And it also probably makes you more attractive from an agent
Yes.
attraction perspective.
You're so, I mean, Cari, you're so right about that. Like you're any type of real estate thing you're doing, you're in other conversations with other people that are interested in real estate, whether they're a realtor or they're just an investor, they know other realtors. Like I've had a lot of people say, man, I'm not a realtor, but man, let me introduce you to this friend of mine. He would love to hear what you're doing. And it ends up being a relationship that, they're, hey, let's talk about EXP. And, everybody doesn't come to EXP day one. I have an agent right now that, I'm working on trying to get them to EXP. But it's been 5 years in the making. So quite a long time. So you just got to stay in touch with people, love on them, drip on them, all of the above.
The thing about it is, I guess, Jay, what's interesting about it is it's the same way that you get into relationship with people to build a real estate business. There's really no difference, right?
Mhm.
You're getting into a relationship with people, you're providing them value, and then you're understanding. So one of the things you said was and I want to go back to this because I thought it was just awesome. If you think about it through the lens of providing value to people, find out and ask what they want. There are seasons in your life when you're going to want different things. And what is it about that, what they want right now, that is going to provide them the best life? And how can you provide the solution to that?
Yep.
Right to where they are right now. Okay. So we have a question from Matthew from Southern California, who, by the way, we were talking earlier, they just got snow, it's like,
What?
crazy. Yeah, like crazy.
Matthew, you got snow
in LA. Oh, you're on mute, Matthew.
I live in Ventura, but on the beach, it was hail, but it was so much that it just blanketed the beach like it was all white. And then I happened to be on a boat right when it came, but I'm right by the beach, of course, and then on a boat. But it was crazy. I haven't seen that since I'm older. I'm 60, but I haven't seen that. Like, I think it snowed here in 1947 when my sister was alive, but
Oh
it hasn't,
God.
like, we've never seen that. It was crazy. It was crazy.
So Matt,
You don't look 60, man. You look good, bro. It's that Southern
Hey, it's
Cal
the light, I guess.
life,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
it's that Southern California style. So Matthew, you want to ask your question?
I think what it is for me, and I'll explain a little bit. I started with EXP in September, and I have a son who's 25. He's a realtor with me, so he's trying to focus on production. And it was kind of like when we got with EXP, it's like drinking from a fire, a fire hydrant. Is so much, and go here and go here, and then I broke my ankle, so I had surgery. It took me out for 2 months. But anyways, I'm back on track. But I think what it is, like, I feel like stifled in a sense of, like, part of me says, oh, Matt, you got to be concentrating more on production and prospecting, but then also agent attraction, because I feel that, that's kind of my goal. I do that, my son do that, but I have to be helping a lot on that other stuff. But anyways, it's getting enough. And I feel like, because I like to be really knowledgeable, I don't want to just call someone and say, oh, I'm at EXP, you should come here, and then ask them their questions. Like, what's your pain point? What would you change where you are? And then have them ask me a question that I'm thinking, I don't know where this would be able to help you. I can see you have a pain point, but I'm not quite sure. But what I feel I'm doing is I feel like I have to balance with time blocking and say, okay, production, and then also meetings like this, because Family Tree for me, I found Family Tree maybe a month ago or a little bit longer. It's been the most valuable, where I think, okay, now when I attract agents, I'm going to bring them here. So where there's production training and also agent attract, just that I think I could solve that. But it's just, I think it's that I got one person under me, right? I personally joined under my son on purpose so that I could kind of help him grow. But I got one person under me. I have some potentials. I have a big one who's a big producer, and she moved to Hawaii. So she's getting her license in Hawaii. And then she's going to put her Arizona license and her Hawaii license under me, and then just work. And then Some people will follow her. So I'm like, okay, I got to get a little bit, but it's just finding that time, or like you said, that, when you would call somebody, right, like you weren't the best closer. I always feel like, oh God, I just got to do it, I guess. But it's finding that right, where to lead them, having enough resources.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And I think you're dead on with like bringing them to Zooms like this and just kind of
Yeah.
letting them soak in what EXP's culture is. Let them, I will tell you another thing, and I'm very curious if you even know about this. Matthew, do you know that Glenn Sanford is going to be at that regional training in LA on the 20th or 22nd? Did you know that?
I didn't. No,
See,
I didn't.
and that's where I'm like, why are people not getting the word out? It's not your fault. Trust me, it's not your fault. But think about this, okay? So let me check the date. So we're doing the regional rallies, which is 15 locations across the nation where people are coming in. Like Glenn Sanford will be in Los Angeles, and it's a $39 ticket to go to this thing. But here's the deal. You could put a prospect, you can, on Wednesday, they open it up. Like right now, only EXP agents can buy the tickets. Come Thursday, we're letting them buy guest tickets. Okay. So if you go to EXP, I just think this is brilliant. Like I'm giving you an actual solution to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
there is it's in, where is it? March 24th. It's a Friday. And I'm not sure what their times are, but Glenn will be speaking near the airport, near LAX. And it's March 24th. Glenn Sanford's flying in. They've got 2 icon agents coming in from out of state. So one of the things that I think is cool about these regionals, and look, I'm going to be blunt about this when I say this, and I don't care who I make mad saying it, just so you guys know. In Nashville, nobody wants to hear from Jay Nelson. They're like, I don't want to hear how great Jay is. So that's where I've been selling real estate for 25 years. So we're bringing in icons from out of state to speak in Nashville. So the 300 agents sitting in the room don't have to listen to one of their competitors tell them how great they are.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that part of your playbook, Jay? That's part of your playbook events? Oh,
yeah. But I mean, I want everybody to get to events. Some people can't afford certain events. So we created these regionals so we could literally make it where everybody could get that same thing that some people can't, or take the time 5 days. And look, the only event we missed was shareholders last year in 5 years because my wife had her kidney taken out. Okay. So, that's the only reason we missed the event. But my point is, like, we're going to try to bring those events locally across the nation. And if you go to EXP Regional Rally, expregionalrally.com, find an event and drive to it. But you're going to be able to go to that event, Matthew, and bring one of your friends. Like, say, hey, man, the founder of the company is going to be over at a hotel near LAX. He's only flying in for 1 day. Buy him a ticket and say, come go with me. And then they'll see the culture, and we're going to recognize agents. All the icons get recognized from stage, all the people that sold their first house. Like, it's a recognition rally with a training aspect.
I love that. That's amazing. So you guys, in the chat box, I just put the link in for the regional rally and the link for all the locations. I just put that in there. Something else you were talking about, Jay, as far as the company being solvent. I don't know if you saw this, but I sent it over to Cari last week. Yahoo had a huge article on the strong showing and the momentum that is driving EXP World Holding.
Wow.
Yeah. And at the end of the article, if you go look at it, this article was written February 18th. I've got it in the chat box. At the end of this article, they basically say their conclusion is that in total, we are pretty happy with EXP World Holdings performance. Particularly, we like that the company is reinvesting heavily into its business and at a high rate return, which has led to impressive earnings growth. So these are articles that you can send people to say, hey, whether you participate in rev share or not, that's up to you. But what you can do is you're going to get stock on your first deal every year. You can participate in the equity program where you can buy, stock yourself from that. And when you icon, you're going to get this back and you're going to get stock. So if a company is performing at that level and you can show a third-party testimonial like that, that's also another way to say, now, if you really want to hear what this is about, come to this regional event.
I love it.
Right? I that is just crazy good. Matt, thank you so much for that question. All right. So I'm curious, Jay, how do you set up your event? So we've heard a lot about from some folks that are bringing people in, but if you do your own event, you bring in icon agents to let them talk about it. So question here is, when people are invited into this event, do they know they're coming to an EXP event?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's you know what? Think of it this way. So Matthew, you've got, let's say somebody you did a deal with, right? And you're like, listen, man, we got Glenn Sanford coming to LA, but this is how we recognize the success of our agents. And there's going to be some recognition. There are going to be some icon agents there sharing what they, getting their recognition from stage, taking pictures in the red carpet and the step and repeat, with EXP all over. Everybody's creating photo ops and stuff like that. But also we're bringing in 2 icon agents that don't sell in California, and they're going to teach. So if nothing else, just come see the vibe, have fun. If you gotta, put a little flask and you want to make it a real fun party. No, I'm just kidding. You know my point. I'm just saying, have fun with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, we just want to have fun and show people that vibe of EXP. We get together, we celebrate each other. And that is so critical, because I really believe that it's the alignment of EXP. It's the fact that, guys, what makes this thing work so well is that when Matthew sells a house, my stock goes up. When I sell a house, Matthew's stock goes up. When Candace sells one, Miguel's stock goes up. When Miguel, you see what I'm saying? Like it's the way that EXP is designed that makes this thing so go-giver mentality. So no, I think you say we're having a recognition rally and training, and come have some fun with us. And you know what? Don't make them feel bad if they can't stay the whole day. Say, hey man, what time can you be there? Oh, okay, you're going to be there at 1. Okay, cool. Come for a couple hours. Like, they don't have to stay all day. You might want to stay all day. I want to stay all day, but the guests might want to just come for 2 or 3 hours, but they'll catch the vibe. Like, wait a minute, those EXP people are pretty cool,
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Okay, guys, so we're almost to time. I want to find out what questions you have, if any. Put them in the chat box. Jay, can you tell us a little bit about I'm just curious, how do you and Ashley work together in this team?
So Ashley is probably a way better, she's way more organized than me. I'm kind of reckless abandonment, and she kind of lines me out and makes sure that I'm doing what I need to do on a daily basis. Cause I'm a little bit,
She keeps you straight. She keeps you organized.
Oh my God, she's a godsend. And yes, she was a Century 21 agent. She was a top producer at Century 21. Her family owned Century 21s in Louisiana. So we both have a very heavy real estate background. She's also an investor developer. She does all the development projects with us. We have big developments going in Nashville, big developments going in Puerto Rico now. And EXP's allowed us to be able to be in multiple places. And, I'm doing as much real estate in Puerto Rico as I've ever done in Nashville. So I'm busy doing, flying back and forth. And, I just love that beachfront real estate. So that's what we're doing.
I love that. The thing about it is that it's interesting to me. Well, it's very clear now, but it's interesting to me how when you have the same work ethic in RE/MAX that you have in EXP, but the difference in your business in EXP versus when you were with RE/MAX. It's just unbelievable the doors that are opened because of the the ability that you have to be more in front of more and have more, right? What
Yeah.
would you think key differences between doing what you did in Remax and then moving over to EXP? And the reason I want you to talk about this a little bit, Jay, is because there may be folks on here that are talking to people at another company and they think their company is everything and they just can't really see it happening for them at another level in EXP because they've got a big work ethic at their other company.
Yeah.
They're grinding 7 days a week. They're doing it. They're the top in their office. They're the top in their state, whatever it is. What's the key difference between taking that from the company you're in and taking that mentality and moving it over to EXP?
I think that's one of the best questions I've ever been asked because I'm going to nail this one. You know,
Yay.
you got to think about this, okay, guys? I spent 16 years selling, 1,000 houses at Remax, okay? 16 years, okay? When I didn't leave Remax because I was unhappy. They did whatever I told. I mean, they didn't mess with me. They let me be Jay Nelson. All right. The thing is I wasn't unhappy there because they weren't ever telling me what to do. All right. The difference is you would think they would have given me 1 share of stock, which they never did, and I was building somebody else's dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell agents all the time, whose dynasty are you really building? And it's nothing against Gary Keller and Dave Leninger. They're just smart guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're smart enough to know that, they'll tell you every reason to build their dynasty for them. We do this, we do that. But are you really building a dynasty for your kids or your grandkids? Are you just building something for somebody, for somebody else? And EXP is really, I will tell you this, guys, and I know we got to get, and I got another Zoom to jump on anyway, but I do want to say this, Glenn Sanford and Jason Gessing and the leadership and Dave Kennard, number one, I judge people on their heart. I can see bullshit a mile away. Okay. And I don't even mind if people are wacky and crazy, as long as they lead with their heart, with passion.
Yeah.
And I trust those guys. I trust those guys with every single one of y'all's careers. They're not going to pull a switch pitch and screw us over because it's what's in their heart. And, I say this to Jason, and I say it to Michael Valdez, and I say it to Dave Kennard every single time I've ever talked to them. I always say, what are you going to do today to make EXP better tomorrow for the agent that's not even here yet? And as long as they wait, look, is EXP perfect? No. Do we have things we got to work on? Absolutely. But as long as the integrity of the people that run this company is at the level, I don't expect them to be flawless. They just got to do the right thing. And I'll tell you what, those guys really do care about you guys and me and your kids and your grandkids. And that's where, I'm gonna ride and die, with EXP because of the people that have created this company do have your best interest at heart.
I love that. I love that. The most significant thing to me is that I worked hard to create someone else's dynasty at the company I was in. They never offered me even 1 share.
Yep.
And at EXP, because of the people that are leading this company, they want to share everything with us. They want to share everything with us. And for the agents that aren't even here yet, I love that. Jay, I want to respect your time. It's 1:59. I'm going to let you go because I know you got another call. Matt, sorry I won't be able to get to you.
Don't worry about it.
But hey, guys, thank you so much, Jay. We appreciate you being on. Love your energy. Love what you brought to the call. And we appreciate you taking time out of your day to show up for us.
Absolutely. And y'all feel free to send us a friend request on Facebook. Me and Ashley are all over there. So we'd love to stay connected. And thank y'all for doing this. And thank you for Family Tree. I love what you guys have built with that. I like I said, I check it every day, and I love what we're doing as a company. So thank y'all for having us. Anything we can do to help y'all, let us know. We're here to help.
You guys
Thank
are
you for inviting
amazing.
us.
Thank you.
Bye, Jay.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye,
See y'all at a
everyone.
regional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.